Welcome to the GTN Show, brought to you by Pugh. Now this week, Heather and Fraser have foolishly given me the reins with the show whilst they're off filming more content and more videos for you guys. But one rule they did give me was to not natter on about tech or new tech releases for the next 15 minutes or so. But fortunately for you guys, I don't need to, because we've got some really exciting racing from the weekend. The first big race of 2020, so really kicking the season off. We also have news of Jan Frodeno switching running shoe partner, also a chap that has just swum in the Antarctic, and also a chap that is also trying to do a triathlon across the Antarctic. Well, the 2020 race season has well and truly kicked off, because this past weekend we had Ironman 70.3 South Africa, a race that has quite often marked the new year of racing for myself. Both Fraser and myself have actually taken part in it numerous times. In fact, in 2010, Fraser went and won the event, and it's always attracted a stellar lineup, and this year was definitely no exception. We had the likes of Bradley Weiss, Michael Rayler, Matt Troutman, Bart Aernouts, Emma Pallant, Lucy Zelenkova, all on the start list, but some slightly less expected names also on the start list were Flora Duffy and Henry Schoeman. Now, you would think, given that we've got the Tokyo 2020 Olympics coming up later this year, this is perhaps bad timing to be racing a 70.3 at the beginning of the year. Also, not to forget their debut 70.3s. But actually, if you think about it, if they could bag a spot here to the Ironman 70.3 World Champs, which there are 2 men and 2 women's spots up for grabs here, they could then park that ambition, focus on the Olympics, and then come back to the 70.3 Worlds later this year, which are taking place in November. Now, there's obviously a lot of speculation out as to whether they do well. I mean, some were saying they're ITU athletes and their strength and prowess from ITU racing will really show through and they'll storm this event, whilst others were saying they're just not experienced enough over this event. Well, I'd say you're both right, because actually what happened in the women's race is Flora, unsurprisingly, led out with a huge lead. She had about a 3.5 minute lead over Lucy Zelenkova and over 4 minutes on Emma Pallant. Going onto the bike, she maintained that over 45k, so we saw the time check coming at 45k and she had about 4 minutes. And then coming into T2, it was Emma Pallant in the lead. Somewhere within that final 45k, Flora had managed to lose 9 minutes to Emma Pallant and Jade Nicole, putting her 5 minutes in arrears. Now later it actually appeared, or we found out, that Flora actually was struggling with some glute issues, her glute locked up, and that's where the time was lost. Now, personally watching this and knowing Emma's running history and pedigree, this just seemed like a gap that Flora could not reel in. And actually we saw them running pace for pace to start off with. At around 10k, Flora passed Jade Nicole, who was currently sitting in second position. And this seemed to be the point that Flora really started to turn the gears. She just got stronger and stronger. And with 5k to go, there was just a minute gap between her and Emma. And this seemed to be the point that actually Emma was starting to fade. Flora posted an incredible 1:20 half marathon split, which is very impressive over such a tough course. There's 2 rather big hills during that run course. And she took the win. Emma took second place and Jade Nicole took third. Over on the men's side, it was a pretty similar story. Henry Schoeman also crushed the swim. He had about a 2 minute gap to the chasing group with most of the favourites in there. But a small group did form behind him. We had Bradley Weiss, Michael Rayler, Matt Troutman and Kyle Buckingham. So the race was really on, and that chase group finally caught Henry Schoeman on the return leg as they come down from the descent after the 45k mark. And coming into transition, it was Matt Troutman that took a slight lead, and he really capitalised on that and never let go. He posted an impressive 1:15 half marathon to take a comfortable win. Bradley Weiss took second, and Henry Schoeman took a very respectable third place for his first 70.3. So very impressive results from both Henry and Flora. Flora particularly, given her coming back from injury and whatnot. So maybe this poses the question, is she the one we should be watching out for this year at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics? Well, I'm gonna throw it out to you guys. Is it a yes or a no? Do you think she will take the win? You can enter that by clicking just up here. And if you've got any opinions, who else you might think might contend or challenge her, then please drop them in the comment section below. Well, something we really didn't see coming here at GTN was this post from Jan Frodeno. Now, Jan has been with Asics for as long as I can remember. He has worn them to his Olympic title in 2008. We even saw him wearing a prototype pair of shoes from Asics last year in the Ironman World Championships, very much seeming like he was rather invested in and part of something quite exciting with the brand. But then this, well, at the time of filming this, we really didn't have much more to report other than some speculation. Could his new shoe partner be On with their new investment from Roger Federer? Could it be Adidas or Puma, given his German heritage? Could it be New Balance? Could it be Nike? Could it be Crocs? Who knows? It could even be Jan with his own brand of shoes coming out. If anyone could, it would be Jan. Well, moving on, and imagine training for 33 years to swim for just over 10 minutes down a river. Well, that is essentially what Pugh has just done in his attempt to be the first swimmer to swim under an Antarctic ice sheet. He was in the water for 10 minutes and 17 seconds in nothing more than his swimming trunks, cap, and goggles. And all of this was in an attempt also to bring awareness to the change that is happening at our Earth's poles. Now, the fact that he was able to find a river to swim in under an ice sheet was his point exactly, that there are quite significant changes happening to our world due to global warming. The Antarctica is melting, and scientists have found and proved that there are over 65,000 supraglacial lakes in that region that he was swimming in alone. So global warming is really quite a big thing, and Lewis is bringing great awareness to that. Meanwhile, in a similar vein, we have Anders Hoffman preparing for his Project Iceman. Well, we have featured Anders and his crazy triathlon before, but between this week's show and next week's show, he is due to start and hopefully become the first ever person to complete an Ironman distance triathlon in the Antarctica. Now, he's taking a 10-man strong team on a 33-day expedition, starting on boat from Argentina. They'll then cross the Drake's Passage into Antarctica and to Portal Point, where he will then commence the Iceman. The estimated, or the start date that they've projected at the moment, is the 2nd of February, but obviously conditions depending, of which he could actually be competing in anything between -5 degrees Celsius to -15 degrees Celsius, and water temperatures between 1 and -2 degrees Celsius. So all we can say now is best of luck, Anders. We're now moving on to the GTN poll, and last week Heather and Fraser asked you, should carbon-plated shoes be banned by the IAAF? Now, carbon-plated shoes, we're talking about the Nike Vaporfly, the 4% and whatnot. And this is a big topic for debate at the moment, because if we think back to the Ironman World Championships in 2019, of the top 15 men and women, actually half of those were wearing some version of these Nike Vaporfly shoes, or the 4%. And actually the top 3 women were all wearing a set of these shoes. And it's actually thought that if the IAAF were to ban these carbon-plated shoes, then triathlon would likely follow. So we've been very interested to hear what you guys would think. And 65% of you said no, and 35% of you said yes. Well, now for the part of the show where we get to look through all the photos that you've been sending in to us. And I've picked out a nice eclectic mix here, because we've got, first one, a swimming one, but under the full moon. This was sent in by Humberto from Whitegrass Dam in Brazil. He said, my friends and I have swum in this dam for years, but they decided to do something a little different and swim under the full moon and take their camera with them so we could see all of this. So got some great shots and a very white looking person on a supboard, but fantastic photos. Next one from Fabian, and this is from Innsbruck in Austria. And to be honest, I think he's just gloating. He's showing off with his rather picturesque view from his bike as he looks at the Tyrolean sunset with the mountain region in the background behind him. So yeah, very nice pain cave. Next one from Willie, and this is from Le Contamine, and this is as they're out for the Nordic Ski Championships. He's hosting it, or helping the British Army. They decided to take a watt bike out with them. Pretty substantial. They said they were training at 1,300 meters of elevation, doing zone 5 intervals. He's a 47-year-old diesel engine, and he topped out 173 heart rate. So yeah, pretty impressive. I know the pain of doing intervals at that sort of elevation. Louis Miguel, he's just set up his new pain cave on his second floor apartment, which is pretty swish. I mean, this is impressive. You've got a massive widescreen TV, which seems to be mounted on some sort of system in the background, but really cool. You've got your mountain bike there set up, and then it's a Fuji TT bike on the turbo trainer next to it. So yeah, very nice. Please don't forget to send in all your pain caves and photos using the photo upload. The link is on screen right now, or you can find the link in the description just below. Well, now for the GTN Caption competition, and last week we had a photo from Ironman, Arizona that Heather and Fraser presented to you with a chap with a big sign saying press to power up. And we've had some great captions coming in. First one from Savage Poet said, "Kid, press the button to power up," and the traffic saying, "Yes, but for goodness sake, stop moving." Mark Backer said, "What if I snatch the paper for infinite power-ups?" Philippe Cordoba said, "Is there any chance that you have 5 of those? I may need them ahead." But the winner this week goes to Ibrahim Trabulsi, and he said, "When you've never ran more than 3K and you're suddenly flying to Kona after touching some paper." So yeah, you are the winner of the GTN Caption competition. Get in touch, we'll ping one of these out to you. But now for this week's Caption comp photo, and this is actually from Project Iceman. This is Anders, but this is actually from Svalbard when he was doing the half Iceman. And he's either slipped up, face planted the snow, having a bit of a tough time, or this is the end of it. I don't know. But send in your captions in the comment section below. Well, that's it for the GTN show this week. If you have enjoyed it, then make sure you hit that thumbs up button and like this video. We've also got loads of other great videos coming up this week. We have one on 3D printing, which is being used more and more so in cycling and triathlon. A lot of the pros are getting custom parts built using 3D printing. So if you'd like to find out a little bit more about that, then you can wait for that later this week. If you're coming back from a running injury, or perhaps just haven't been running for quite some time, then we also have a video on the run-walk method, which may be really useful for you right now. Also, don't forget that we have our GTN shop where you can get things like this jumper that I'm wearing, some of our t-shirts, accessories like towels. So you can find the icon for that on screen right now. Don't forget you can also subscribe to the GTN channel by clicking on the globe. And if you'd like to see some of our past videos, how to swim backstroke, see that by clicking just down here. And if you'd like to find a little bit more about buying an entry-level triathlon bike, then you can see that by clicking just down here.